Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton from Massachusetts. He serves on the Armed Services Committee. He's also running for Senate right now. Congressman, good to have you back on the show. So, thank you. Look, I just played some of Senator Collins there, and I'm sure some of our viewers right now are like, look, we've heard Senator Collins say that she's concerned about things in the past, and then, she doesn't ultimately do very much. But do you think, just given the political headwinds, the challenges domestically that this party, the Republicans, they are facing, that there is a chance that some of them may actually stand up to Trump on this?
Well, I mean, you'd like to think that the Republicans actually cared about the Constitution. You'd like to think they cared about the rule of law. You'd like to think they cared about our troops, 13 of whom are already dead because of this war of choice that Trump is losing. But the reality is, you're right. They probably only care about the poll numbers. And luckily for the troops and the Constitution, the polls are against this war. So hopefully they'll wake up and actually do the work of the American people and try to get the president to stop it. But it's kind of amazing that her attitude is essentially like, I don't really care if he violated the Constitution. I don't really care if he broke the law. We can give him 60 days to do that, but we can't give him more.
Congressman, what do you make of Trump's "no more nice guy" tweet today? It seems lost on this administration. Even Mike Waltz, came out and said that this is not a war crime. Threats of bombing power plants and bridges are not war crimes. And it seems like Trump is either a war criminal or he's threatening to be a war criminal if he does this. But how do you read his threats? A negotiating tactic or an unhinged president?
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, he sounds pretty unhinged. Of course, the Wall Street Journal reported today that he apparently told his aides he was trying to appear unstable. Well, he succeeded in that. I think we all know he's pretty unstable to begin with, but he was trying to appear unstable as a negotiating tactic, and yet he didn't seem to really scare the Iranians. He did scare his own generals. And so when his own generals are hiding the remote control from him, when his own generals trying to get him out of the room while tough decisions are being made, that's not a good sign. And it's an especially bad sign for the troops, who want a commander-in-chief with a plan, want a commander-in-chief who has a way to end this war, not a commander-in-chief who seems to be begging for peace with just different negotiating tactics hour to hour.
Congressman, we're watching two national security fights in Congress. The War Powers Resolution, which Democrats can't get enough of their own, or enough Republicans to break ranks to get it across the finish line. And then FISA, which 20 Republicans have defected and are calling for reforms. What are the reforms that are necessary to be agreed upon within Congress, within the House, for the new FISA to pass?
Well, it's kind of amazing because we have these strange bedfellows where the most conservative extremist Republicans are siding with the Democrats on these reforms. But sometimes it seems like the most extreme Republicans, a la Marjorie Taylor Greene, are the only ones with the courage to actually stand up to the president. And the basic problem here is that the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which basically gathers intelligence on enemies of the United States who happen to have their communications go through U.S. servers, but also tends to scoop up data from Americans as well. The problem is that this has actually been used quite effectively to stop terrorist attacks on the United States, to help us deal with some serious national security threats from people all over the globe. And when you spend time in classified spaces like I do, you see the benefits of this law. But the reality is that there are not enough safeguards to prevent it from being used against Americans. In fact, there are examples where we've seen rogue FBI agents try to find information about bad relationships or family members or whatnot through this service. And at least we were able to come to some compromises in the past where we put enough guardrails around it under the Biden administration and under the Obama administration to trust that it would be reasonably well adjudicated. But that's no longer the case because even Republicans don't trust this administration to keep out of their business. They've weaponized and politicized every arm of law enforcement, not just ICE, but the FBI. I mean, just sitting here as a Democratic congressman, I have to think that the FBI, that the Department of Justice might be weaponizing some of these tools against me because I'm seen as a political opponent. Donald Trump called me a total loser the other day, and that means I'm on his radar screen, right? So this is the concern that people on actually both sides of the aisle really have, is that we just cannot fundamentally trust the administration to follow guidelines written into law, and therefore we need to really tighten the guidelines before we give this bill a chance of going forward.